When trying to climb in Valorant, it can be incredibly frustrating where everyone just talks about what is working in the meta with pro players. But what is actually going to help you climb to Diamond, Ascendant, or Immortal? Well, in this video, we're going to go over 6 solo carry agents, characters that really give you everything you need in order to carry your games and climb without the help of your team. Now, the first character that I definitely want to talk about is Omen. And Omen is one of the best meta characters in the game, but he also happens to be one of the best solo carry agents, period. And it doesn't really matter what rank you're in either. Even just doing your job as Omen, being able to smoke off sight lines and have your team execute on the point, that alone is valuable in the ranked environment where people are not picking controller as much as they should be, especially in the majority of ranks. And if you are an Omen main, then every time you have a controller on your team, it's going to be a good one rather than someone just filling the controller and not doing or executing anything properly. But apart from the essential things like smoking and flashing his team in, that is really great for pushes and rushes and helping team play, Omen can make some really powerful solo plays as well. He's probably one of the best lurkers in the entire game, being able to cut off rotations, and this is primarily due to the fact that Omen can teleport across certain sight lines, so he can kind of sneak into an angle that opponents won't expect, and he also can smoke for his team even if he's not playing with them. So you got to be sure not to die before you smoke, because then you mess up the execute. But as long as you smoke for your team and then apply pressure, cut off rotation somewhere else, you can then regroup with your team, or you can even wrap and do some more aggressive lurking. But on top of that, Omen can also just make really strong teleport plays around a point, whether it's combined with your smoke, whether it's to make an enemy play around a different angle with mix-ups, fake teleports, and things like that. Combine all that with the fact that in a true clutch situation, your ultimate allows you to rotate to the other side, plan down, and then with your smokes, your mind games, with your teleports, you can really clutch up 1v2, 1v3s with the spike down. So there's a lot that you can really do with Omen to go above and beyond and really clutch up solo. But I would make sure that you don't neglect the fundamentals, the essential things that you need to do to get your team on site, the smokes, the proper paranoias. After you execute those properly, start to experiment with some different types of plays and lurks and evaluate how aggressive you can be and what kind of plays work and don't. Last up, after you've smoked and paranoid for your team, don't be afraid to get aggressive with your teleports, taking space on site with your duelist. Just because you're playing Omen, just because you're playing a controller, doesn't mean you should be playing passive and you should be overly scared of taking a trade, engaging with your team. I'm not saying go teleport everywhere and int, but I am saying after you've done your fundamental job, there's less risk in you being aggressive and taking space with your team. Now, if you're looking to climb, you're not alone. In fact, we've helped thousands of players just like you climb the ranks faster than you could even imagine. We've even recently created a brand new course showcasing the exact advice given to players just like you to help them climb stupid fast. You'll take a look at one-on-one coaching sessions and how our coaches simplify the game into easy to follow steps that will instantly skyrocket your rank. The incredible thing is you don't have to take our word for it, because we offer a guaranteed climb or your money back. We stand by our product and we truly know that we can help you climb. So what are you waiting for? Check it out right now down below. Now, an agent that a lot of people have written off but is super strong at solo carrying in particular is Chamber. And Chamber is often just compared to his former self, which I don't think is entirely fair, because what he offers now is super freaking powerful. So at a base level, Chamber is actually really good at holding space in a similar way to a lot of other Sentinels. Being able to hold an aggressive sight line, gather information from that sight line, take a shot and go away or teleport away, allows you to gather information and potentially get a free pick on the enemy. Two things that are really, really good. You're basically cutting off certain sight lines, and it's really important that as Chamber, if the opponents are really playing default on the other side of the map or playing sort of aggressive on the other side of the map, you can push up, you can cut off rotations, you can lurk a lot on Chamber, further gathering information, setting yourself up in a position to where if enemies rotate into you, you get a free kill, you get a teleport out, and you gather information for your team about where they're executing or where they're trying to execute, or potentially shut off that play entirely. Now, add to that the fact that Chamber is just really great on eco. From his free weapons to the fact that you get an operator that you get to use with your ultimate, to the fact that Chamber is just better with a lot of the other guns that other characters could play, like a Sheriff, or even the new weapon, the Outlaw, or an operator himself. When it comes down to it, advantages on eco, that pistol round, and just a raw gunplay advantage are things that are going to propel you in solo queue more than just about anything else. And I think that Chamber is super, super powerful, but people are sleeping on him a lot right now. So I definitely suggest you picking him up and trying him if you're looking for a character to solo carry with. Now, the next character that we do got to talk about is Yoru. And Yoru is a very unique character character on ladder because I think he's one of the few characters that can set up, execute, and make plays all by himself. Like, a lot of characters have better setups if they're being set up by their initiator or even their controller, but with Yoru, if you have a teleport set lineup in place with your flash and a decoy, you can do everything. You can bait cooldowns, you can blind the enemy team, you can force your way onto site, and you can basically get free kills and create space all by yourself, which is just crazy powerful. Of course, doing that is the hard part, right? Saying it is the easy part, and that's why Yoru is a very hard character to learn. There's a really high skill floor on the character, meaning just to learn the character at a base level is going to require a lot of effort from you. It's going to require a lot of practice from you, and that's the thing. If you really want to get good at Yoru, it's not really a character that you can dip your toe in. It's not really a character that you can play every once in a while and expect to get good with. You need compound hours. You need compound experiences. So if you play Yoru one game on Ascent and you do some things, you experiment and you learn some things, like some things work and some things don't, if the next time you play Ascent, you're playing a different character, you can never apply the things you learned. And the idea is that you're constantly compounding what you're learning on the character. So really, Yoru is a character that you need to be pretty dedicated to. If you really want to get good at, if you even want to get decent at him at a base level, not really a character that you can just dabble in. And that's really one of the things about him that I think is the hardest, because it's almost like you have to commit to him or you're doing yourself a disservice. Still, we do know that if you get really good at Yoru, you can dominate even at the highest ranks of play. So I definitely would suggest you committing to this character and learning him if you are willing to go through the entire journey. Now, the next character that we do got to talk about, I think, is Fade. And automatically, initiators are a bit hard to make solo carry agents because they're a lot about enabling other people, right? You're gaining space for other people, you're helping other people. But with Fade in particular, I think she's the best when your team is the worst. She's really good at doing things by herself. She's really good at denying a lot of the things that low elo players are trying to do, whether they're hiding in the smoke with a shotgun or they're playing around a tight corridor. Fade is really good at punishing those things with her prowler. And on top of that, Fade has very great abilities that can be used to even just enable your own gunplay, from a lineup eye that you get to swing on yourself to your ultimate that allows you to make side executes or make even solo plays, win 1v1s, the list goes on. I think that Fade overall is a character that is really underrated, even though that she isn't seeing meta play that much compared to some of the other initiators. For ranked, and especially any rank underneath freaking Ascendant, I think she's actually going to be better a large percentage of the time. And I think that Fade oftentimes doesn't get picked because of her perceived impact, not her actual impact. So I'm telling you right now, this character is definitely worth playing and definitely worth climbing with. So yeah, definitely one that I would suggest picking up in patch 8.0. Now, the next character that we do got to talk about is undoubtedly Cipher. And I think that Cipher is one of the best characters for climbing all the way up to Ascendant or Immortal. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, you have a really powerful site hold where if people come to your site, the amount of times you're just going to dominate them and just win and deny their push is really high. And that's super strong. Being able to punish people that are rushing in, punish people that are executing. This is super strong, and Cipher is fantastic at it. You're going to get a lot of kills. You're going to be able to shut down these rushes, and Cipher overall is just very strong on some maps. Maps like Breeze, maps like Sunset, Cipher is amazing. Now, the thing that pushes Cipher to the next level is the fact that Cipher is a fantastic lurker. And we talked a little bit about this on Chamber, and you could do something similar on Cipher where you're cutting off rotations, and if enemies rotate into you, you're just going to be able to get so many free kills because you can set a trap, you can kill an enemy, and then dip out, and now the enemy has to slowly clear all the space all the way to your site, only to get to your site and then still push through you and your utility, or they rotate back, which you can give information about to your team, meaning that they can easily deny the pushback and you give them such a huge advantage. So not only does Cipher lock down a site, but then also gathers information and makes plays. In addition to that, Cipher is actually pretty good on the retake, as opposed to a character like Killjoy. With your Cipher cages and your trips that you can redeploy, you can set up a retake on site and prevent certain plays from happening against you. So if the enemy is trying to wrap or something along those lines, being able to set a trip somewhere where you know if an enemy tries to wrap or they try to make a play on you, you're going to get an extra bit of information from that or even your cam all of a sudden you're locking down some of the options for the enemy, meaning that you can clutch up that much easier. And I think that all combined, Cypher is kind of that package that really carries behind the scenes. Maybe he's not racking up as many kills as some of your duelists are, but you've won the game because of a great Cypher, and you might not even know it. But last up, we do got to talk about Jett. And Jett is kind of someone that doesn't really need that much of an introduction. I mean, as a meta character, she can take space on sight, she can dash, clear angles for her team. But the thing that a lot of Jetts say is, okay, I keep doing this, but my team, they're not following up with me. They're not utilizing the space I'm creating. I keep dying when I'm dashing. So what do? Well, the first thing you got to make sure is that your team is actually ready to follow up with you. So if you're just dashing out way in front of your team, perhaps you should wait and actually stagger that engage so that your team can actually, at the very least, get line of sight between you and your space that you're creating, right? That's super, super important. But even in that, sometimes your team needs to still push out. They still need to go and they're just not going. But there's other things you can do on Jett besides just dashing out and playing her very meta strategy. Like, you can also just abuse weapons in a way that other characters simply cannot. We talked a little bit about this with Chamber, but Jett is going to be better pound for pound with just about any eco weapon in the game. Whether it's a Marshal, Outlaw, Sheriff, Shorty, doesn't matter. Jett, pound for pound, is going to be better, get more value out of these weapons than any other character. Now, you combine that with the fact that Jett can really abuse even rifles, operators, getting a free kill, racking up free kills, and getting away. And that's just the thing that she's really good at doing in a solo queue environment. But then, like I said, if you do have the team that is properly utilizing you, then you can also do the meta strategies, dashing out, clearing space, things like that. And the combination of the solo carry aspects and the flexibility with team play aspects, I really think is important to make this character one of the best characters to solo carry with, especially in patch 8.0. But if you have any other characters you think are really, really underrated in this patch and to specifically solo carry, let us know, and check out SkillCapped if you really want to climb. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.